Hi, great to have your company this week on C7 as Great Moments from Bathurst continues. Unprecedented drama in national touring car racing meant organisers of the annual Great Race at Bathurst on the traditional October long weekend were left with no choice other than to introduce a new formula for 1997 and beyond. The worldwide 2-litre Super Touring category was subsequently adopted and the Bathurst race took on a whole new look, although there were several familiar faces lining up on the grid come race day.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get fired up for the 1997 AMP Bathurst 1000. And to do the honours, the 3-time former world driving champion, Australia's own Sir Jack Brabham.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines.
The engines roar, they're ready to go. The great race for 97
is away, and Paul Morris takes the lead from Jason Plato, but there's 161 laps to go as they come down to and round L Corner, starting the climb up Mount Panorama, up Mountain Straight. Everybody's getting round the first corner. Well, that's good, and they stream up towards Repco Bend, the first right-hander, and then into the BP cutting, and Jason Plato passes Paul Morris to take the lead in the Renault Laguna. Behind him in the Peugeot 406, it's double world champion Paul Radicic. Morris retakes the lead. It's terrific stuff on the first of 161 laps, and coming up in the background, you can see Peter Brock is in 4th position in the red and white of Vauxhall Vectra.
Well, the two at the front are really going hammer and tong at it, Alan Moffat.
Yes, they are, and a bit brave for the very opening lap, but it just shows that Paul Morris wasn't going to be intimidated. Plato did the right thing, but a tight move through the first Repco corner on the right-hander. Here we are up onto the top of the circuit now, approaching Skyline. And it's Plato leading the BMW of Paul Morris. Tires still not at optimum temperature, so these fellows will be a little bit timid going down here for the first time. This is where a brake lockup can hurt tire wear.
And it's Paul Morris is giving Plato quite a hard time, Alan. And Plato, of course, has never driven in an endurance race like this before, whereas Paul Morris has. He knows the form. Peter Brock still holding that 4th position behind the Peugeot 406.
Well, one fellow that knows what that opening lap, how important it is to be with the lead cars. There's nothing worse than watching your opposition just surreptitiously walking away from you on this very opening lap. They know instantly where they're going. Here we are in the pits.
It's covered, instantly knows where it's not going. Car 88, Pavicevic and Hills in the pits. It's been there from the outset, did not get off the start line.
And in the meantime, up in front as we watch, it's a Renault Laguna leading, it's a BMW second, it's a Peugeot 406 in 3rd position, and a Vauxhall Vectra 4th. 4 different constructors. That's one of the great things about it this year. There are so many different constructors in this 2-litre Super Touring Bathurst 1000, ending lap 1. Plato leads. Behind him is Morris. Behind Morris is Paul Radicic, keeping station with the BMW in front of him, pulling away a bit from Peter Brock, who's in 4th position. 5th is Jeff Brabham. Patrick Watts is 6th. There he is in the 2nd of the Peugeots, ahead of Stephen Richards' Nissan. You can see him in the background now. Car 58 that I was talking about earlier on in the pits, that's the Pickett Siders Hyundai Elantra that was there when the race began, so they've still to take the flag and get away into the race. As we rejoin Peter Brock in 4th position, ahead of Jeff Brabham, the elder of the 2 Brabham boys who are in the Bathurst 1000 today. And behind Brabham, you can see Patrick Watts. No change in the first 6 places now, except, of course, that Paul Radicic has passed early 2nd place leader, Paul Morris.
I don't think Jeff Brabham's unhappy with his spot. He's just shadowing Peter there. He knows he's got a fastish car in front of him and that he can slipstream on the straights, perhaps just take his engine a little bit easier on the long straight on these opening laps. I don't believe he's perturbed at all.
Yeah.
But he's certainly letting Broggy know he's there.
He said just before the race began, we heard him saying, didn't we, that he was just going to see how things developed. Well, Jeff Brabham now is quite a way behind Jason Plato. The gap is building all the time. Oh, and there is the great man, 3 times world champion, Sir Jack Brabham. The man who's done it in his own car, in the Brabham, which he drove after he'd finished with the Cooper team in single-seater racing. But we're back with the Super Tourers into the Caltex chase and down to the final corner on the track. And we're with Jeff Brabham looking ahead at Brocky. Car 05, that famous number, we know it all around the world. He is in 4th position. And he's coming up to complete his 4th lap. Now, Jason Plato is now nearly 6.6 seconds ahead of Paul Radisich, building his lead all the time.
Time's coming down too, Murray.
Yeah, Plato's done the fastest lap of the race so far, 2 minutes 17:02. Now that compares with Jim Richards' lap record of 2:20.5. So already the lap record has been broken by an incredible 3.3 seconds. Have you ever known that before, my friend?
Well, in all modesty, Murray, I have to say yes.
Yes,
I did drop it dramatically on occasion, the odd time, but that's very significant for this formula in its embryo stages. And I think the people out there today doing these lap times should be very proud of that. And I'm sure Plato and the Renault management are extremely proud of the way he's going, because he's got a comfortable gap already. Not blistering out of sight, but 6 seconds after such a short number of laps is a significant overlay on the field.
We're riding with race cam in the BMW of Jeff and David Brabham. One of the Volvos we understand. Oh, yes, it is.
Oh, and it's the one that really matters with respect to the other one. It's Jim Richards' car, and Rickard Rydell, 5 times winner here. Jim Richards, Rickard Rydell, who has won so many races in the British Touring Car Championship. And that's the 850 Volvo. It doesn't actually affect the car's performance. It's only plastic trim, that, for cosmetic reasons.
I doubt that it's fallen off on its own, though.
No, it will have been nudged by somebody, Gary, but that's the name of the game, and they're very used to it because it happens all the time. He's in 11th position at the present moment, is Jim Richards.
This is the type of thing, Murray, that they check, that they Clark, of course, likes to get using his authority, and it's black flag material normal if that was a steel bumper bar, but I think a few more waggles and it's just about going to dissect itself, and shouldn't be too much of a hazard to the other drivers. I wouldn't want to be right behind him while that was dangling there. Every
material, they tell me, has got its fracture level, and there you go. What a wonderful prophecy that was of yours, Alan Moffat, because as he dives into Caltex chase, off flies the trim, and that will prevent the possibility of a black flag. And as far as cars are concerned, it's a Renault leading, a Peugeot second, a BMW third. This Vauxhall Vectra that we're riding with in 4th position, ahead of Jeff Brabham's BMW 5th and Patrick Watts's Peugeot in 6th position. Then the Nissan of Stephen Richards in 7th place.
Peugeot got by Jeff Brabham there. I don't know whether we've got a worry with the BMW.
Passed him quite easily coming up the hill there, Patrick Watts.
That looks a bit of a concern. Jeff Brabham didn't ease off that much. No such thing as missing a gear with these sequential gearboxes, so Jeff is elected to let another one get by there. I don't know. Well, it's very early days, Alan, but I've been saying BMW are going to have the strength and the endurance. It would be ironic if it was one of the European perceived to be sprint cars that outlasted it, but who knows? Are we looking at a little bit of Peugeot engineering here by any chance, Murray? They make a very strong motor car, and we know how well they've done in Formula One. And here is Jason Plato, and he's coming up now to lap the Jenny Thompson car, the car 89, the Ford Mondeo.
Here's the race leader.
Here is Jason Plato, partnering Alain Manu, the man who won the British Touring Car Championship this year, and Jason Plato was third in rather contentious circumstances because the Williams Renault Laguna team won the manufacturer's prize in the British Touring Car Championship, and the team prize, and Alan Menu won the individual, so that only left second place. And in is John Cleland and James Kay. That's the second of the Vauxhall Vectras.
This is bad news. Too early for this kind of a stop. Bonnet up.
Yeah, smoke coming up from I know you get smoke when the engine gets hot often, even when there's nothing particularly wrong. There might be a bit of oil, but this looks a lot more than that.
Let's go down there. David Tapp's on the spot.
Yeah, thank you very much, Gary Wilkinson. Big concerns for the Vectra team. They've got the bonnet up, as you can see, and a fair bit of smoke coming from beneath that bonnet. Very worrying indeed at this early stage of the race, and John Cleland waiting very patiently in the car. And at this stage, we can't really ascertain exactly what the problem is, but they're certainly very busy.
Yeah, well, they came in on their 12th lap, and meantime the leaders are on lap 13 now. And in comes the Alfa Romeo that we saw being passed over. This is the David Auger Laurie Kite car, and it's the only Alfa Romeo in the race, the 155. Now, is this a routine stop, Alan? You can tell from the body language it doesn't look like it to me.
Not coming in at that pace, Murray. There is a speed limit in the pit lane, but that's a dejected stop there from David Auger. He's got something wrong, as does the Vectra team here. Rather shattering. It's nothing worse than not making the first pit stop. You know you've got a hard day in front of you after this kind of a delay, and as the seconds tick by, the driver's heart starts to sag.
Plenty of action happening. The Vauxhall Vectra of John Cleland in the pits, and we have word now that the Peugeot pits are on standby, that one of their cars is coming in for a scheduled stop.
I wonder whether that is the middle car here, that of Patrick Watts. It could well be. He's behind Peter Brock, who's clearly not intent on letting him past, and why should he? No, it's not, because it's Paul Radisich from second place into the pits for his first routine stop.
Let's pick up Paddy Welsh on the spot.
Gary, this is a scheduled stop. They tell me here at the Peugeot pit he went out on a half tank of gas, so it'll be tyres. A full tank of gas will go in, the full 80 litres, and there will be a driver change as well. So Tim Harvey will take over from Paul Radisich, but no dramas down here with Peugeot despite the earliness of this stop. Everything according to plan as far as they're concerned. Now, they should take around about 35 to 40 seconds by the time we get the full 80 litres of fuel in. Tyres are done. No dramas, just the seat adjuster for Tim Harvey. He's strapped in and about ready to go. So tactics by the Peugeot team, as they said to me with a smile just a few moments ago.
And as you were talking, Patrick, we saw Patrick Watts on the track being passed by Jeff Brabham, so positions have changed again there. And the news from the Vauxhall pit is that it's a power steering problem, Murray, with the Cleland car.
Right, and there is the driver change between Paul Radisich, who brought the car in. That's car number 6, the Peugeot, and that means that Tim Harvey will be taking over.
Paul, no dramas. This was a scheduled pit stop, so a tactic by the Peugeot team.
Yeah, we thought we'd take a punt at it, and that's right, just a tactic, just run with 3/4 full tank and just see how it would go, and you know, maybe it'll come back to us further on. But yeah, it's just a tactic we thought we'd try.
How's the car feeling?
Yeah, not too bad. It's a little long brake pedal at the moment, but that's coming back to us, so things are running very nice.
It's going to be the variable for all these cars out there, the brakes. It's sort of a suck it and see situation, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you know, these cars will run really soft brakes and pads, so we've gone to a harder type material, and with that sort of it does create some problems, but everything's going fine at the moment.
We'll let you go and cool down.
Thanks a lot.
And here we are with the Jan Nilsson Volvo. That's the Swedish driver.
David Tapp on the spot.
Yes, indeed, another car with steering problems here at Mount Panorama this morning. Cameron McLean complaining about the steering. In the meantime, whilst they're taking a look at that, they're going to effect a tyre change and put in a full quantity of fuel, 80 litres, and McLean will stay in the car. And at this point in time, who knows what's wrong with the steering, but the second car to succumb to those problems today.
Lap 17, and Jason Plato is now 18 seconds ahead of Paul Morris.